How to be silently attractive. 12 socially attractive habits. Have you ever walked into a crowded room and felt that someone immediately drew everyone's eyes? Even though they never spoke, tried to show off or force themselves into the spotlight. That person wasn't the loudest voice in the room, not the funniest storyteller, and didn't need a flawless appearance. Yet their presence alone pulled attention, sparked curiosity, and slowly earned respect. That is silent attraction, a quiet power that few people ever master. In today's world, we are used to noise. Everyone rushes to speak faster, louder, more often. Everyone wants to impress immediately. On social media, the loudest voices drown out the stillness. But in that chaos, the people who remain calm, steady, confident, without shouting are those who truly stand out. In America, people respect a grounded presence that doesn't need advertising. That kind of attraction isn't about the surface. It flows from within, from the way you walk, the way you look, the way you treat others. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that calmness is true strength. Epictetus reminded us that silence is not emptiness, but a wise choice. And Seneca believed that a person is only truly free when they no longer depend on the approval of others. These lessons don't just live in old books, they can be lived here and now. You and I know no one wants to keep performing just to be noticed. We long to be respected for who we are, not for the show we put on. Silent attraction does not ask you to become someone else. It does not demand that you change your essence or act like a stranger to yourself. Instead, it invites you to dig deeper to uncover the truest, strongest version of who you already are. When you can rest in your presence and no longer need outside approval to feel complete, you begin to radiate an unforgettable energy. Others will think that confidence, even if you never say a word. The striking thing about this kind of attraction is that it doesn't require money status or a perfect look. It is built from ordinary habits anyone can practice. The way you hold eye contact, the way you sit down, the way you listen, the way you choose silence in awkward moments, the way you control your emotions, keep consistency in your actions, and offer kindness without showing it off. We will uncover 12 social habits that make you silently attractive on this journey. These are not tricks. They are not hollow social hacks. They are timeless principles drawn from Stoic wisdom and lived experience that can reshape the way you see yourself and the way others see you. Picture this: one day you step into a gathering. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to push your way into the conversation. Yet people still notice you. Not because you are trying to grab attention, but because your calm confidence flowed naturally. That is the kind of attraction that lasts. Not easy to lose. It only grows stronger the more you practice. So how do you build that silent attraction in a modern world where everyone is shouting just to be seen? The answer lies in the 12 habits we are about to explore. And we begin this journey by understanding why silence has become a rare form of power in a noisy and restless society. This foundation will show you why these habits matter so much, why silent attraction matters in modern American society. Look at America today, a country where social media has become the biggest stage. Millions of people post pictures, videos, and words daily to prove they are interesting, attractive, and worthy of attention. People race to collect more likes, more followers, more public praise. And yet the louder it gets, the easier it is to notice a paradox in the crowd. Fighting to be seen, the ones who remain quiet and composed suddenly become rare and magnetic. Silent attraction matters because it is the contrast. In a society flooded with noise, stillness becomes a luxury. Americans live in a fast-paced schedule with constant work and news updates every minute. That pressure creates a deep hunger for steadiness, for peace. So when someone enters a room calmly and does not need words to prove their worth, people instantly feel the difference. Stoic philosophy reminds us that we cannot control the outside world, but can always control our response. Epictetus once said that silence carries more value than empty talk. In American culture, where everyone tries to prove themselves through speed and volume, the person who listens stays calm and lets their presence speak for them becomes the one who makes the strongest impression. Silent attraction also matters because it builds trust. In the American workplace where competition runs hot, the ones who always boast talk too much and make endless promises often leave others drained and doubtful. In contrast, the person who stays silent but acts with certainty, consistency, and steadiness earns respect. Many successful leaders are not the loudest voices in the meeting room. They speak less, observe more, and when they finally talk, every word carries weight. On a personal level, silent attraction helps people in America overcome loneliness in modern society. Many are exhausted from chasing approval. They post photos to get praise and tell stories to get attention and try to fill the emptiness with outside noise. But genuine relationships grow from calmness, from the ability to make others feel safe and heard. Silent attraction doesn't gather a shallow crowd. It attracts deep and lasting connections. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that a calm mind is the strongest fortress. In America, where the pressure of money work and reputation weighs heavily, keeping calm becomes an invisible weapon. The rushing current does not sweep away the person with silent attraction. They walk slower but steadier. They speak less but with precision. They do not chase the spotlight, but the spotlight somehow finds them. Equally important, silent attraction creates balance. Americans often admire strength but fear arrogance. When you know how to be present in silence, you send a message. You are confident without boasting, strong without overpowering. That is attraction born from balance, firm yet approachable, quiet yet full of life. This is why in today's world, silent attraction is not just a skill, it is a competitive edge. It does not depend on appearance, status, or wealth. It comes from within, from the way you train your daily habits. And once you own it, you carry a form of power that no one can take away. From this foundation, we can now move to the most crucial part, the 12 social habits that make you silently attractive. Each habit is a piece of the puzzle, and when combined, they form a powerful image. We begin with the very first habit, living with authentic independence. Habit 1, live with authentic independence. Everyone talks about freedom, but the truth is most of us live chained to the eyes, the praise, and the approval of others. We let social media decide our worth. We let acquaintances influence our choices. We let comparison pull us off the path always meant for us. Yet those who carry silent attraction live differently. They don't need to prove themselves with flashy displays. They live independently, grounded in their own values, which earns respect. Living with authentic independence does not mean cutting yourself off from the world. It does not mean declaring, "I don't need anyone." It means knowing who you are and what you value and daring to follow that path even if few people support you. It means finding peace within instead of waiting for others to fill your emptiness. There is a kind of allure that's hard to explain in people like this. They walk into a room without boasting, yet everyone feels a steady, quiet energy. They don't need to shout, "I am confident." Confidence flows naturally through their eyes, their walk, and the way they face life. Their inner wholeness keeps them unmoved by criticism and uncorrupted by praise. But this path is not easy. Living independently means you will sometimes stand alone. It requires courage to keep going when no one cheers for you. It demands discipline to hold your ground even when others don't understand. It also means learning to embrace solitude positively, taking a walk alone, writing in a journal, or simply spending a quiet evening in conversation with yourself. Those moments don't weaken you. On the contrary, they deepen your connection with your true self. Stoic philosophy has emphasized this for thousands of years. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is not found in doing what you want, but in not being enslaved by desire or fear." Living with authentic independence means you are no longer a prisoner of comparison or outside judgment. You are free because you are yourself, and no one can take that from you. Modern life proves this. The strongest relationships do not come from dependence, but from two independent people finding each other. When you are strong enough to stand alone, you build connections based on respect, not the need to fill a void. That is the deepest form of attraction. You don't need others to feel worthy, but that is precisely why others are drawn to you. If you want to practice this habit, start small. Each day ask yourself, does this decision truly reflect what I value, or am I just trying to please someone else? Practice spending time alone without your phone, without noise. Walk, write down your thoughts, or sit in silence to hear your inner voice more clearly. Step by step, you'll realize you don't need constant external approval. And as that independence grows, you'll no longer need to seek attention. Your calm presence, your unspoken confidence will naturally draw it. People will sense it. Here is someone who doesn't wear a mask, doesn't need to prove anything, yet radiates a quiet strength that commands respect. Living with authentic independence does not mean rejecting relationships. It means entering them whole. You don't need anyone to make you feel complete. That's why the connections you form are built on equality and respect. This is the foundation of lasting attraction, the kind that comes from within, from daring to be fully yourself. And once you've built this independence, you will notice another key element: how you express yourself outwardly. Attraction is not only in the confidence inside, but also in how you walk, how you show up, and the impression you leave without words. This is where silent elegance becomes the key to elevating your presence. Habit 2. The art of silent elegance. Once you've built authentic independence, within the next step is how you show it on the outside. Attraction isn't only about your thoughts or feelings and how others experience your presence. And this is where silent elegance appears in art that doesn't need words, yet has the power to quiet an entire room the moment you walk in. Silent elegance does not mean wealth, expensive clothes, or flawless looks. It's much simpler, yet far more refined. It is the combination of posture, gaze, gestures, and presence. It's when you move slowly with certainty, never rushing. It's when you look at someone with calm eyes, without judgment, without avoidance. It's when you sit down, stand up, shake a hand, or smile with wholeness without force. Others feel that there is someone exactly where they belong. No rush, no need to show off, yet deeply magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Silent elegance is the outward reflection of a calm mind. When you hold stillness within your outward presence, naturally balances itself. You don't need to try to impress. It's the very simplicity that sets you apart. In a noisy society, silent elegance is like a rare breeze. Think back to the last time you met someone who didn't speak much, yet you were drawn in by how they walked, sat down, and listened. That calmness pulled you out of the chaos and made you want to follow their lead. That is the power of silent elegance. To practice this habit, start by paying attention to your body language. Stand tall but relaxed. Walk with steady steps instead of rushing. Listen fully instead of waiting for your turn to talk when you speak with someone. When you smile, let it come from genuine warmth, not the forced kind meant to win approval. When carried out with presence, each small action creates a powerful whole. Another crucial part of silent elegance is restraint. You don't need to boast about success. You don't need to brag about what you know. Instead, you choose silence when silence is stronger, and only speak when your words carry real value. The ancients said, speech is worth more than silence, but not at every moment. Often your pause, your silence delivers the message others cannot forget. Those who embody silent elegance are often described as unforgettable, not because they were the most noticeable, but because they left a feeling of safety, trust, and depth behind. You might not remember exactly what they said, but you remember how they made you feel. And that feeling is what makes them enduringly attractive. If you want to begin, try living one day more slowly. When you enter a room, don't rush to find a seat. Pause. Observe the space. Breathe slowly. Walk with certainty. When someone asks you a question, instead of answering immediately, allow a short pause to consider your response truly. When you stand before a mirror, notice your posture and eyes and imagine that presence communicating with the world. Silent elegance doesn't come from trying to be someone else. It comes when you allow your inner calm to flow outward. And as you practice it daily, your presence becomes unforgettable without ever being loud. When you hold authentic independence within and silent elegance without, you reach another level of attraction where even the most minor details leave a lasting impression. And one of the strongest details often overlooked is fragrance and subtle care, the invisible signature that lingers long after you've left the room. Habit 3, the subtle flavor of silent refinement. After you've learned how to carry silent elegance in your gestures and gaze, you'll realize that a person's presence is not only about what can be seen. There are impressions tied to the senses, difficult to grasp, yet etched deep into memory. One of these is fragrance, a silent refinement often overlooked, yet one that makes people remember you long after you've gone. Picture this: you meet someone, the conversation lasts only a few minutes, but when they leave, a gentle scent lingers and you remember them longer than any words they spoke. That is the power of fragrance. It isn't loud or showy, but it slips into emotion, creating an impression the mind cannot resist. Refinement in fragrance is not about using the most expensive perfume. It is about balance and harmony. A scent that's too strong can weigh on people, but a soft, subtle fragrance creates closeness and allure. Like elegance in movement, fragrance requires restraint. It should feel natural, a quiet extension of who you are, enhancing the character you've built, not masking it, not overpowering it. The ancient Romans saw self-care as a mark of self-respect. Seneca once wrote, "The body should reflect the simplicity and purity of the mind." This applied not only to clothing or posture, but even to the most minor details like fragrance. When you keep yourself clean and well-groomed, the natural scent of care becomes a silent message. I respect myself and appreciate you. Silent refinement also shows in choosing simplicity over excess. A subtle touch of sandalwood, a hint of bergamot, or the freshness of cut grass can soothe and calm those around you. Sometimes you don't even need perfume. The clean scent of soap, freshly washed hair, and clothes kept crisp and fresh are enough to set you apart. Silent attraction is always built on the most minor things, the details no one seems to notice, but those that carve themselves into memory. You can practice this habit in everyday life by starting with the basics. Keep your body clean. Take care of your teeth, your hair, your skin. Then if you choose a fragrance, let it fit your personality and lifestyle. A strong character might suit woody or smoky tones. A more reserved soul might find harmony in lighter, fresher notes like jasmine or green tea. It doesn't need to announce itself. The fragrance should only whisper one truth: you were here and your presence mattered. Silent refinement in fragrance rests on one principle: less but deeper. No one enjoys being overwhelmed by a heavy scent, but nearly everyone is moved by a faint trace that makes them want to come closer. This is precisely how silent attraction works. Not noisy or aggressive, but planting a quiet, unshakable curiosity in others. Let fragrance become your silent signature. When you walk into a room, it isn't there to declare that you have arrived. It is there to whisper that you have been present softly. And when you leave, that trace remains, reminding others of you naturally. Once you've built inner independence, express silent elegance through your presence and added fragrance. As a subtle highlight, you will find your attraction no longer needs words. But presence is not only about what you radiate, it's also about how you give your full attention to the moment and others. And that is the foundation of the next habit, the art of complete presence. Habit 4, the art of complete presence. After you've learned how to leave a subtle mark through small details, like fragrance, silent attraction does not stop at being remembered by the senses. What truly draws people in is the rare feeling of receiving your full attention, the gift of complete presence, something almost absent today. We live in a world drowning in distractions. Phone notifications, social media, endless thoughts about unfinished work or plans, all of them pull us away from the moment we're in. That's why when someone truly knows how to listen, to look straight into your eyes without cutting you off, without sneaking a glance at their screen, that moment feels like a gift. And it's precisely what makes them naturally magnetic. Complete presence is not just about staying physically. It is the engagement of your whole mind, emotions, and energies with this moment, with this person. When you are fully present, the other person feels important, respected, and understood. And that respect, though never spoken aloud, sets you apart. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." A line that seems simple yet carries profound wisdom. When we let the mind chase the past or rush toward the future, we lose the vitality of this very second. But when we stay with the present, we live more fully and create an irresistible pull. Because so few people can truly do this. Remember when you talked with someone but felt they weren't there? Maybe they nodded or gave replies, but their eyes were distant, their hands busy scrolling a screen. That silent message feels clear. I have more important things than you. On the other hand, when you meet someone who gives you their full attention, you remember them for a long time. Not because their words were brilliant, but because they made you feel valued. To train this habit, you don't need complex techniques. Remove distractions when entering a conversation. Put your phone aside, take a deep breath, and look directly into the other person's eyes. Listen without rushing to respond. Don't prepare your answer while they're still speaking. Let their words land on you. When you truly listen, you start to feel what isn't said: emotions, worries, joy, quiet hopes. Complete presence can also be practiced in daily moments. When eating a meal, eat slowly. Taste the food instead of scrolling your phone between bites. When walking, look at the scenery instead of letting your mind drift into unfinished thoughts. Each time you return to the present, you train yourself in a silent magnetism, the pull of peace and focus. The key is this: complete presence does not make you weak or passive. On the contrary, it shows that you are in command of yourself. Distractions do not pull you away. Restless impulses do not control you. People sense that control in your eyes and your words, and they are drawn to the safety they feel near someone like you. People may quickly forget what you said, but never forget how you made them feel. And the feeling of being truly heard, fully met in presence, is one of the most precious gifts you can give. When you combine authentic independence, silent elegance, subtle refinement through fragrance and the art of complete presence, you build a deeper layer of attraction. But attraction does not only come from the attention you give. It also comes from what you hold back, the silences, the mysteries left unrevealed. And that leads to the next habit: cultivating a sense of mystery. Habit 5, cultivating a sense of mystery. You will notice a paradox after you've learned the art of complete presence, giving your full attention and making others feel respected. As magnetic a presence as it can be, if you reveal everything, explain every thought, and expose every detail, that magnetism quickly fades. This is why you must cultivate a sense of mystery. Human beings are drawn to what they do not fully know. A book compels us to keep reading because it doesn't reveal everything on the first page. A movie keeps us until the end because it holds back certain twists. Communication works the same way. You spark curiosity when you know how to hold something back and don't rush to show it all. People wanted to know more and remember you longer, and precisely that incompleteness makes your presence unforgettable. Mystery here does not mean becoming cold or distant. It is not about hiding to manipulate. Mystery is the choice to share selectively, to let others discover you gradually. It is also the power of remaining silent when words aren't needed, letting silence itself carry the weight. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminded us, be silent or let your words be worth more than silence. In a world where oversharing has become the norm, from social media to daily chatter, the person who holds something back becomes different. and that difference is magnetic. When people cannot instantly define you or fit you into a ready-made box, they want to stay longer to uncover who you are. For example, instead of unloading every detail about your work plans or past in a first meeting, you might listen more and only share what is truly important. Or when someone is curious about how you made a decision. Sometimes all it takes is a smile and letting your actions speak for you. That not only makes you appear more confident, but it also shows you are not desperate for recognition. Mystery also comes from living a layered life. It means having interests, passions, and experiences that are not all on display. The more people engage with you, the more they discover hidden sides. Someone might be serious at work, yet intensely creative when playing an instrument, or patient and quiet, but adventurous in unexpected journeys. These hidden layers make you harder to predict, and that unpredictability is what makes you compelling. To cultivate mystery, begin by observing yourself. Ask, am I talking too much to fill the silence? Am I oversharing details only to seek approval? If so, practice holding back. Let silence do its work. Let others feel and wonder on their own. The simplest practice is learning to stay quiet in small moments. When a conversation is lively, don't always be the one to add the last joke. When debates heat up, sometimes all you need is a nod, a calm smile, and let your silence carry its weight. People will remember your gaze, your steady posture more than a forced comment. The key is that mystery must be paired with authenticity. If you are silent only to create a false image, people will sense it sooner or later. But if you live with proper self-control, with the sense that you don't need to reveal everything or prove anything, then mystery naturally radiates from you. And when combined with the complete presence you've practiced, it becomes a form of attraction that is both approachable and elusive. A person who knows how to listen and keep something for themselves leaves others feeling there's more to them than I can see. And that very thought makes people want to stay around you longer. Cultivating mystery is an art of balance. Share just enough to create a connection, hold back just enough to preserve curiosity. When you do this, you don't just become more attractive, you also protect your space and energy. And once you've learned how to weave in mystery, the next layer of attraction comes from broad, open-minded wisdom, a kind of intelligence that lets you see the world from many angles, making you someone worth talking to and worth listening to. And that leads to the next habit, cultivating cultural intelligence. Habit 6, cultivating cultural intelligence. When you've learned to keep a touch of mystery, you've planted curiosity in the minds of others. But for that curiosity to last, to become a thread of genuine connection, you need to offer real value. One of the strongest values you can bring is cultural intelligence, the ability to understand, respect, and connect with diverse people in the world. Cultural intelligence is not about stuffing your head with trivia or memorizing academic knowledge. It shows how you enter a conversation and make others feel respected and heard. It lives in your genuine curiosity for someone else's experience and your willingness to listen to a perspective different from your own without rushing to argue back. Those with cultural intelligence stand out in an increasingly diverse and interconnected world. Not because they speak the most, but because every word carries depth. When you can share a story from a book you've read, an experience from a trip, or a lesson drawn from another culture, you instantly make the conversation richer and more meaningful. And people remember you not as someone who only lives for themselves, but as someone who knows how to live in a larger world. The ancients taught, look deeper than the surface. Do not be fooled by appearances. This wisdom applies perfectly to cultural intelligence. When you train yourself to observe, ask, and learn, you discover that every person is a whole world. Someone you meet at a cafe might carry a different culture, a different family story, a different set of beliefs. And when you genuinely care, you learn how to connect not through similarity, but through difference. Cultural intelligence is also a way of widening your own inner borders. When you read a book from another country, listen to music from a distant culture, or hear the story of someone whose life is nothing like yours, your mind is enriched. That richness doesn't need to be shown off. It naturally flows in how you converse, respond, and carry yourself. Others sense it. They feel you are not narrow, not closed, and that openness becomes deeply attractive. Picture a conversation where everyone only talks about daily routines or surface topics. The atmosphere quickly grows dull, but the room shifts if you bring a new perspective, a story from history, or a unique personal experience. Eyes turn toward you, not because you tried to stand out, but because your presence gave the conversation depth. You don't need to travel the entire world to cultivate cultural intelligence. Start small. Read a book outside your usual genre. Talk to a friend from a different background, or sit back in a gathering and observe and listen more deeply. Each time you do, you expand your understanding, and that understanding becomes a form of silent attraction. The key is to approach with humility. Cultural intelligence is not a stage to prove you know more. It is proof that you are willing to learn. People feel safe around you when they know you won't judge, won't rush to label, but honestly care to understand. And when the mystery of the last habit combines with the depth of this one, you don't just make others curious, you make them want to stay connected. They sense that with you there is something to discover, learn and cherish. From cultural intelligence, another quality begins to grow: compassion and empathy. Because when you truly see the vastness of the world and the variety of human stories, you also start to feel the struggles, the pains, the quiet battles around you. And that becomes the bridge to the next habit: cultivating compassion. Habit 7. Cultivating compassion. When you have expanded your mind and nurtured cultural intelligence, you begin to see something important. Behind every difference lies a pain, a hope, a profoundly human longing. And to truly connect, you need more than understanding: compassion. Compassion is not loud. It isn't dressed in grand promises or dramatic gestures meant to draw attention. Compassion is when you sit quietly and listen to someone in pain without judgment or interruption. It is when you offer a gentle smile to someone feeling lost, or when you notice and care about the most minor details that most people overlook. Compassion becomes rare and precious in a society where people rush, compete, and constantly try to prove themselves. People may admire your talent, but they will remember you for your kindness. That is the kind of silent attraction that is stronger than any appearance. The truth is, compassion does not make you weak. It is the mark of inner strength. Only someone strong can open their heart to another's pain without being swept away. When you can stand firm in yourself while still reaching out a hand to lift others, you become a refuge, a source of calm energy people want to be near. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This is the spirit of compassion. You do not need to compromise with weakness, but you can recognize that everyone is fighting their battles. It is essential to see angry people and realize they are suffering inside, to see someone fail and remember they are learning how to rise again. Compassion lets you look past behavior to know the person behind it. The attraction born from compassion does not appear instantly, but it endures. People remember that you were the one they could trust with their vulnerability, who didn't exploit their weakness, who could be there silent yet present. And that builds trust, and trust is the strongest foundation for true attraction. To practice this habit, start with small acts. Train yourself to listen without cutting in. Ask questions not to satisfy curiosity, but to truly understand. Hold back the urge to judge quickly. Instead, ask yourself, what is this person going through? What do they need right now? And compassion must also begin with yourself. A person who constantly blames and criticizes themselves finds it hard to offer gentleness to others. Practice patience with yourself. Accept that sometimes you fail, sometimes you fall short, and that doesn't make you less worthy. When you learn to embrace your imperfections, you will find it easier to embrace others. When compassion blends with cultural intelligence, you become rare, both deep and warm. People are not only curious about you, but they also feel safe around you. They see you as a harbor where they don't need to pretend or wear armor. That is an attraction that cannot be faked because it grows from a true heart. And from that gentleness, another dimension of silent attraction rises joy and laughter. When you live with compassion, you empathize with pain and know how to lift spirits and bring lightness and optimism to those around you. And this opens the door to the next habit, spreading joy and smiles. Habit 8, spreading joy and smiles. When you've learned to live with compassion, you naturally realize that kindness doesn't stop at understanding another's pain. It is also the ability to bring them a small spark of light, a sense of relief in the weight of everyday life. And one of the simplest ways to do this is by spreading joy and smiles. Joy is not always loud. It can come from a playful glance, a sincere word, or a relaxed presence that makes others feel safe to let go. You've likely felt it yourself. Around some people, life feels heavier. Around others, life feels lighter. It isn't because they are more talented. They carry an energy of cheerfulness, calm, and optimism within them. Many people mistakenly believe that to impress, they must always be serious and maintain a cold, distant image. But the truth is the opposite. People are drawn to those who can be both deep and lighthearted and stand firm in hardship, yet still find the light in the dark. A sincere smile doesn't just ease tension, it builds trust. Others look at you and think, if life is lighter with this person around, then this is someone worth keeping close. That attraction is stronger than any boast. The Stoic philosophers often reminded us that while we cannot control events, we can always control our response. When Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters," he pointed to a way of living that finds joy even in adversity. A calm smile during hardship is the clearest sign of self-mastery, and that is what makes you attractive without even trying. Remember, spreading joy does not mean you always have to be the clown or force yourself to be funny. True happiness does not come from pretending, it comes from how you see life. When you learn to laugh at yourself, to accept small mistakes, and not to place too much weight on temporary failures, you naturally spread that ease to others. When walking into a room, you become the kind of person who makes the atmosphere brighter, not because you dominate it, but because you bring warmth and hope. A simple example, maybe you go to work on a tired, stressful day, but your coworkers see that you still manage to smile sincerely and find a lighthearted way to ease the pressure. In that moment, you have given them the strength to keep going, and in turn, you receive positive energy from the joy you've shared. This is an invisible yet powerful exchange, one that makes you the center of attention in the most natural way. To practice this habit, start small. Notice the good things in your day, even if it's just a good cup of coffee, a kind greeting, or a beautiful sunset. When you are grateful for small things, you find more reasons to smile. Share that lightness with others, not with grand gestures, but with something as simple as a genuine compliment, a nod of understanding, or a laugh from the heart. People may forget the stories you told, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And if that feeling is tied to lightness and joy, you will always have a special place in their memory. This is the most enduring form of silent attraction. You make life better simply by being present. And once joy becomes a habit, it naturally connects with another equally important one, taking care of yourself. Because to bring joy to others, you need a reservoir of energy within. And that energy only comes when you practice self-care physically and mentally. That is the bridge leading us to the next habit, the art of self-care. Habit 9, the art of self-care. When you have learned to bring joy and smiles to others, there is one essential truth. You must not forget that joy has to come from inner strength, not from forced effort. And to build that strength, you must learn the art of self-care. Many people believe that self-care is selfish, but in reality, it is the foundation of every relationship of peace of mind, and also one of the key elements that makes you silently attractive. Self-care is not just about skincare, exercise, or rest. It is how you show respect for yourself. When you protect your health care for your mind and listen to your body, you send the world a message: I value myself. and that message is quiet yet powerful. Others see that you know how to care for yourself, and they believe you are mature enough to value and respect them too. Imagine this: someone who is always exhausted, neglects themselves, eats in a rush, sleeps too little, and carries a restless mind. They may still be kind and try to help others, but their energy feels heavy, even draining. On the other hand, someone who gets enough sleep, keeps their body strong, takes time to be, still read, meditate, and write in a journal, radiates balanced energy. People feel lighter around them because their peace is contagious. Stoic philosophy spoke clearly on this. Seneca once wrote, "A sound mind and a sound body is the greatest definition of happiness." You cannot keep your spirit steady if your body is breaking down, and you cannot maintain physical health if your mind is clouded by sorrow. Self-care is the union of both training the body for endurance and nurturing the mind for clarity. Practicing self-care begins with the most minor things. It might be keeping a regular sleep schedule, eating healthy meals, or spending 10 minutes daily just breathing deeply. It could also mean learning to say no when overwhelmed, stepping back to protect your energy instead of trying to please everyone. Respect for yourself shows most clearly when you refuse to be consumed by what destroys your balance. Interestingly, when you care for yourself, you don't need to announce it. People notice it in your clear eyes, confident walk, and calm handling of problems. They wonder, why are you steady when others panic? Why do you look strong and clear when others are drained? The answer is simple: you respect yourself and never neglect the daily work of nourishing your life. Another benefit of self-care is emotional stability. When you rest enough, fuel your body correctly, and have activities that relax your mind, you are less controlled by sudden anger or fleeting sadness. This makes you more trustworthy because others sense you are not easily shaken. And that stability is one of the cornerstones of silent attraction. Of course, self-care does not mean overindulging. It is about balance. If you spend every day only relaxing while ignoring your responsibilities, that is not self-care, it's avoidance. On the other hand, if you work yourself into exhaustion without giving yourself a pause, you are losing balance as well. The art lies in knowing when to stop, giving yourself the necessary space to recharge and moving forward with greater strength. And remember, self-care is not just for you, it's for those around you. You can spread that energy to your family, friends, and colleagues when you are healthy and calm. But if you are depleted, giving anything positive to anyone else becomes almost impossible. That is why self-care is essential to the journey towards silent attraction. It is the source of your energy, confidence, and the foundation for all the habits to come. Once you know how to care for yourself, you will have the clarity to understand and regulate your emotions, and that leads us to another key of silent attraction: emotional intelligence, and the ability to truly understand others. Habit 10, emotional intelligence and social sensitivity. When you learn to care for yourself, you build a steady foundation to reach a higher level understanding and connecting with others. Silent attraction doesn't just come from being healthy, confident, or protective of your energy. It also comes from your ability to read emotions and adjust your behavior subtly. This is emotional intelligence combined with social sensitivity, a power that makes others feel understood and safe in your presence. Emotional intelligence begins with understanding yourself. You notice when you're angry and anxious, and you know how to regulate instead of being swept away. A person with high emotional intelligence is not someone who never feels anger or sadness. It is someone who can observe emotions like waves. They rise, they stay, and then they pass. This calm awareness creates silent attraction. Others feel they can rely on you because you don't react impulsively, nor do you make situations messier. Social sensitivity is the next step. It is the ability to notice what lies beneath the look in someone's eyes, the language of their body, the subtle tones in their voice. Sometimes a smile is only a mask for exhaustion, and only the sensitive can see it. Those with social awareness don't rush to judge. They listen, they observe, and they respond with care. That is why they create safety making people want to open up and stay close. Stoic philosophy teaches us this as well. Epictetus once said, "We have two ears and one mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." When you listen more, when you observe more, you come to understand things others miss. And it is this depth of listening that makes people remember you. Not because you spoke brilliantly, but because you made them feel heard and seen. In practice, emotional intelligence and social sensitivity can be trained daily. When you step into a conversation, give your full attention. Put your phone aside, look into their eyes, and notice the small details in their tone and expression. You don't need to offer advice right away. Sometimes a nod or a simple, "I understand what you're going through," is enough to create a connection. Another key part of emotional intelligence is staying calm when everyone else loses control. In a heated debate, most are pulled into the storm of emotions. But if you keep your voice low, your body steady, and your reactions slow, you become an anchor in their eyes. Others may not agree with you, but they will respect you for mastering yourself instead of being mastered by emotion. What's powerful is that you create a safe space when you can understand others' emotions without letting yourself get swept too deeply into them. People feel warmth from you, yet they also sense boundaries. This is the balance between empathy and self-control, a kind of energy that draws people close while still earning their respect. Think back to when you spoke with someone who listened so well that you left feeling lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. That is the power of emotional intelligence. People may not remember exactly what you said, but they will never forget the feeling you gave them. And once you've developed emotional intelligence and social sensitivity, you'll find it easier to build respect and credibility without trying to impress. Your calm presence and subtlety create silent attraction, making you the person others seek out when they need stability. However, emotional intelligence only becomes complete when paired with consistency and reliability. You may be empathetic and a good listener, but trust cannot take root without consistency in your actions. That brings us to the next step in building a silent attraction: consistency and reliability. Habit 11, consistency and reliability. After cultivating emotional intelligence and social sensitivity, you've built a strong foundation of connection with others. But for that connection to grow deep and last long, one more element is essential: consistency and reliability. If emotional intelligence is the spark that ignites trust at the start, then consistency is the fuel that keeps that fire alive. People may be impressed by how you listen, your calmness in an argument, or your subtlety in tense moments. But what makes them truly respect you comes from something much simpler: you say and you do. You promise and you keep your word. You show up when you said you would. You finish what you commit to, even when no one is watching. It is this steadiness that builds lasting silent attraction. Consistency becomes rare in a world where people often make promises only to retreat. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'll call you back. I'll be there. I'll help," only for it never to happen? Each time they lose some credibility, and the respect others once had for them slips away. In contrast, those who speak less but always follow through are respected deeply, even though they never advertise themselves. That is the quiet power of consistency. Stoic philosophy also emphasized this. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, don't exhaust yourself with lofty talk. Let your steady, repeated actions speak for you. A person with silent attraction doesn't need to boast of their values. Their solid presence and long-term reliability are proof enough. Reliability is not only about keeping promises to others, it's about keeping promises to yourself. If you constantly set and abandon goals, you slowly lose faith in yourself. And when you can't trust yourself, others will find it hard to trust you too. But when you persist with small daily habits, waking up on time and exercising regularly, living with discipline, you send a powerful message to the world. I can be relied upon. People feel that steadiness from you even before you say a word. What's striking is that consistency doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't draw instant attention. But over time, every repeated action, every kept promise becomes an unforgettable mark in the eyes of others. They know that when they need you, you'll be there. When given a task, you'll complete it. And when you commit, you'll keep your word. In a world of broken promises, your steady presence becomes a rare anchor drawing people to you naturally. Consistency and reliability also give you inner peace. You no longer worry about how others see you because you know you live true to your values and word. You don't need to decorate your image because your discipline and actions already form one. This is the essence of silent attraction. You earn respect by living properly and steadily without needing many words. If you want to train this habit, begin with the smallest steps. Keep promises to yourself. Read one page of a book daily. Exercise for 15 minutes. Write in your journal every evening. As you follow through, your self-trust grows. And from there, keeping promises to others becomes natural. Over time, you become the person people know they can count on, not because you say so, but because you've proven it through action. By now, you may realize a truth: all the previous habits, from independence, elegance, and refinement to emotional intelligence, lose their strength without consistency. It is the final piece that completes your silent attraction. Once you bring all of them together, you become not only someone others respect, but also a steady anchor for yourself. And to make the picture whole, there is still one final element, one that ties all the habits into a lasting system: the ability to reflect, integrate, and live these principles fully every day. This is the final habit, the closing step of the journey towards silent attraction. Habit 12, living fully and integrating silent attraction. After walking through the first 11 habits, you'll realize that each habit is like a single brick, and their combination forms a strong, enduring wall. Independence lays the foundation. Elegance and refinement build the frame. Emotional intelligence, compassion, and joy, and all of these are the patterns that give the house its soul. But all the pieces remain scattered without this final habit, living fully and integrating them. Living fully does not mean being perfect every day, always shining. It means allowing yourself to walk your chosen path with awareness and responsibility. It is not only learning how to listen, to keep your word, or to carry yourself with elegance. It is knowing how to weave them all together to live with alignment, growing steadier with each passing day. What makes someone silently attractive is not excellence in one area. The unity radiates from their entire being. They do not separate how they treat themselves from how they treat others. They do not divide their words from their actions. They are not consistent only in work, but also in emotions, friendships, and love. It is this integration that creates lasting strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you live fully, there is no single habit that defines you. It is how you bring them all into the rhythm of daily life, beginning the morning with calm, walking through challenges with wisdom, and ending the night with gratitude. Slowly, these are no longer isolated practices, they become your natural breath. Others look at you but don't see someone trying. They see a presence that is pure, steady, and strong. Living fully also means holding a balance. You can be strong without being rigid, quiet without being cold, compassionate without being exploited. When the habits are integrated, you no longer swing to extremes. Instead, you walk the middle path where there is peace, steadiness, and vitality. Remember, silent attraction is not a performance. It is not a mask you put on when entering a room. It is your true nature, trained, refined, and lived out daily. People are drawn to you not because you act calm or pretend to be elegant. They are drawn to you because you are. And that cannot be replaced. To cultivate this final habit, practice reflection each day. Ask yourself, did I live by my principles today? Did I stay calm in difficulty? Did I treat others with genuine respect? Did I keep the promises I made to myself? These questions repeated daily become the mirror that helps you adjust and align. A person who lives fully does not need to seek attention, for their presence is enough. They do not need to persuade, for their actions already persuade. They do not need to boast, their way of life speaks louder. And that is when you truly become the embodiment of silent attraction, quiet, unforced, yet unforgettable. This final habit is the glue that binds everything together. It turns the 11 habits into a single symphony, not scattered notes. It transforms principles into a way of life. And when you live fully with them, you'll notice your life change, not only in the eyes of others, but in your own. You will feel more confident, peaceful, and freer than ever. This is the conclusion of the journey through 12 habits, but in truth, it is not an ending. It is the doorway to a new way of living where you no longer seek attraction because you have become the attraction itself. We have walked together through 12 habits to become silently attractive. Each habit is not a trick, not a quick tactic to impress for a moment. They are principles of living ways of thinking and acting that, when practiced with patience, transform into natural attraction. You've seen how authentic independence allows you to stand firmly on your feet, no longer bound by others' approval. Silent elegance lets you move through a crowd with a calm presence that makes people turn their heads. Subtle refinement comes from how you care for yourself in the most minor details, leaving an impression without ever saying a word. Complete presence allows you to listen truly, making others feel seen and respected. A touch of mystery stirs curiosity, drawing people to discover more, instead of thinking they already know all of you. Then cultural intelligence expands your vision, making it easier for you to connect with and trust. Compassion beats softly like a steady rhythm, teaching you how to give without noise, yet leaving warmth wherever it lands. Joy and gentle smiles turn you into a source of light energy. Self-care reflects respect for yourself. Through that, others naturally respect you. Emotional intelligence and social sensitivity raise you above the ordinary in communication, because you know how to listen, empathize, and regulate your emotions. Consistency and reliability make you a foundation, a point of trust in the eyes of others. And finally, living fully and integrating all the habits makes you your true self without proving, without boasting, yet still shining. All of this shares one truth. Nothing comes from pretense. Nothing comes from straining to be attractive. Every form of silent attraction is born from practice, from living true to yourself. This is the spirit of Stoic philosophy. Live by your values, control what you can, and release what is beyond your reach. In today's world where everyone is trying to talk louder and show more, silence has become a luxury. The one who knows when to be quiet, when to be present, when to listen, and when to live authentically naturally becomes the center without standing in the middle. That is what makes you different. Looking back at the 12 habits you see, this is not a one-day path. It requires daily practice, starting with the smallest steps. You train emotional intelligence every time you stay calm in the face of provocation. Every time you refuse to do something against your values, you live authentic independence. Every time you care for your body and your mind, you build respect for yourself. And when all of these add up, you no longer need to search for attraction because you have become it. From an expert's perspective, I want to emphasize this: silent attraction doesn't just make you admired or liked. It makes you more confident and at peace in your own life. You worry less about how others see you, less about being dragged into comparison or competition. You focus more on developing yourself, building healthy relationships, and living meaningfully. The greatest lesson is this: you do not need to chase attraction outside yourself. You do not need expensive clothes, loud conversations, or constant societal approval. True attraction lies in how you live in your soul's calmness, self-respect, and alignment between what is inside and what shows outside. So start today. Choose one habit out of these 12 that resonates with you most and train it. Don't wait until you are perfect. Take one small step every day and you will see the change. And that change will not only be in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. You do not need the loudest voice in the room to be at the center. You only need to be the steady, silent presence. You do not need to force yourself to be remembered. You only need to live fully and people will never forget you. If what you've just read has touched you, please do something straightforward. Share it, share your thoughts. Practice one of the habits today. And if you want to go further on this journey, walk with us. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the lessons to come, because the journey of building silent strength has only just begun.